So
Hmm.
number two is Pike. Again, I think this was one of mine. This was funnily enough, when Dee and I first caught up about doing this podcast, the week after I ended up watching all three of the latest movies, the Christopher Pine ones. And this was a quote from probably the first 5 minutes of the first film, where I think it was 2009-ish. And
Yeah.
the quote is, "You know that instinct to leap without looking? Starfleet has lost it." And this is a massive one for me. I work in marketing, but I'm a massive believer in perfection is the enemy of progress, or however you want to phrase it. Like, if you focus too much on perfection, you will never progress with anything. You'll never release anything. So just execute. Don't aim for perfection. I think 80% is where you should aim for, and if you can operate at 80% and just consistently execute,
Mhm.
that's better than trying to find 100%. So I think I wanted to include that one because I think there is definitely a lack of people who have. I don't know if it's perhaps the confidence, but they might feel that they're constrained so heavily by KPIs and targets that they can't just try something and just give it a go. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, and I think there's some philosophical things too, career wise. Like we both took a leap to work at our current companies. You know what I mean? Like I'm head of revenue at we weren't Y Combinator backed. Selligence is a very innovative company doing new things, but it's not Cognizant, right? I'm just picking on someone else. Career wise, it takes courage. And look, I made a lot of mistakes. I've been here 3 months. Some of which is learning new processes. Marketing needs courage to make mistakes, to do that leap without looking. I try to think we help a little bit with HockeyStack, but that's one of the shames about marketing, right? It's like you need to be adventurous, it's fun, experimental, but that's not always like encouraged. You really need that though. No matter if you work at SAP or you're a solopreneur, you need to like you said, 80-20. And you know what? That'll get better with time, just with settling in. It'll turn into 81, 85. I think you've done that exceptionally well. I try. God knows there's typos in my emails, but I think typos are good now with AI. It's like, oh, it's the real person. So, but I love that quote. I love that version of Pike too, like from that movie.
From a sales perspective, then, like, that leaping without looking, is it more taking chances where you think that there could be market fit, but perhaps it's not directly ICP?
So I think it's more asking this hard question. So I've been on several calls. I was on one this morning where I basically have to ask, like, can you do your job? Can you hit your goals without us? And I'll never forget, I was at Metadata and this company is a very hot startup. They're global. I asked that question and there were some gasps. But you have to ask those questions. And, today, we were on with the director and it's like, hey man, how are you going to show your worth? Right. Are you going to be in trouble? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but usually I'm right about those things, right? They know it too. So much about sales and marketing is just knowing how people are and just doing the right thing. And, if you can't ask those hard questions in sales, like it's really not a job for you. And we're seeing that now with all the sales layoffs. Like you could be a momentum driver. So it's tough to do, but yeah, you have to ask those hard questions. Tension is good in sales. You just have to like add tension no matter what. Like it's, people, they respect those difficult questions. And look, it takes time, it takes courage, but the good news is you can script a lot of it. So I met with someone from Sales Loft. I forget her name, but she would like go in front of the mirror and practice saying stuff. Right. And she was young and gosh, I wish I remembered who she was. But I really admired that. And I remember early in my career, like I would practice my pitch and my discovery, like, on the bus to work. It was an express bus. It was very nice. It was, in my apartment, with family members, with, people I was dating at the time. So, yeah, you definitely need that in sales. If you don't have that, like, and I'm not saying that's good in your personal life. Sometimes that can upset friends and family. So be careful with that. But, You definitely need that instinct to leap. Um, I had a mentor once, and he was in finance, and he mentioned that certain people who were very direct, he worked well with because he was very direct, and he was very successful. Think about that sometimes, but yeah, yeah, have courage. Join that
Yeah,
startup.
no, I've been not persecuted, but I've been sort of pulled up on it in the past of how direct I am because it's not for everyone. Like I'm very very direct, and sometimes it might come across as a bit cold. But I think when you're the intention of being direct is just to progress more quickly, be more efficient, and get more out of the
Yes.
process. And I think I was speaking to a guy called Nick Butler from Jiminy a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he said one of the biggest things he's changed in 2023 is just being a lot more direct. And if he can't get the answers he's looking for, then that's the end of the opportunity. Because if
Yeah.
he, as a sales, he's a enterprise AE, and he is very much a stance of if he can't get what he needs
Yeah.
from the discovery by being direct, then the opportunity is not worth him investing his time in. So I think there's
Absolutely.
a lot to be learned